Floyd Mayweather, retired, quote unquote, since 2015, although we've seen him come back for exhibitions or let's say cherry picking there. What would happen when he went in there against a guy 18 years younger, 6 inches taller, 4-inch longer reach? I mean, there's a 44-year gap in boxing experience, at least between the two. But what would that look like when you have two celebrities this big, man? Perfect storm. Mayweather-McGregor, and now Mayweather-Paul.
Well, it probably is going to look like Floyd stretching him whenever he wants to. I think that's what the rational observer, the boxing hardcore might say. But you've interviewed, you're friends with Logan Paul. You know him quite well. What has been his attitude? Shed some light for the folks who may not know him like you do about how he approaches this and the seriousness with which he takes it.
Yeah, I think for Logan, you know, he grew up in front of a camera. So this pressure and this main event and fighting the best boxer of all time, ignorance is bliss. So for him, having a camera on his face since he was a kid and having all eyeballs on him, this is just unfortunately, it's just another day in the Logan Paul circus. So, you know, I don't think a moment can get too big for him or his brother. So as big as this is, for him, it's not, man, which to me is mind-blowing.
Yeah, we interviewed him on, what was it, today is Saturday. We interviewed him on Thursday. Or it's Friday today? I've lost track of the days. But either way, the point being is he was calm the whole time. We have music coming. We will come back to all of this. Let's go back to the stage for now for some more live entertainment.
What's up, Miami? What's happening? Y'all good? Everybody good? Yeah, man, I came to turn up, man. We here for the Mayweather-Paul fight. Y'all know how it's going, man. It's money move, still pay, still straight in the building. AE in the building. Let go. We can drive it now. Let go. Yes, sir.
Let's get out there.
Hey, believe. Hey,
Hey, man.
Hey,
still straight.
Still straight. Hey,
money
what we
move.
doing?
That boy problem. That boy problem. That boy problem. Let's go. I'm in here ballin'. Pop it on all. Death for dishonor. Hey, play with them cones. Stay down, you come up. I ain't never a runner. Hey, straight out the gutter, I slide with that quarter J, me and my boy. Let's go. Play with that kid on my hoe. Play with that profit, it double. It's more. I call the plays in the huddle. Shot at that slicker than bottles. Like say, I took a ride in the road. This came with a stroke. Let's go. I'm on that Gary Payne. I got jewels for days. Ride the wave. We got all kind of flavor. C-cap a mile away. I get paid off schemes and run. Still put 30K on the chime. No lie, I'm out wildin'. On high as a pilot. I was ready, but I ain't no guidance. No, the street come with paper and violence. That be geeking off Isaac Cotton. Want that hip hop right on the night. Run that paper, don't do no jogging. All that water, my shirt getting soggy. What we doing? Really the jail I'm built. All of the flavor is spill. I got the rest of a trip. Look at the table and flip. I seen them boys in our pill. I got the lawyer in case it get real. Every day count no dead. They don't living it in what it is. Hey, that boy problem. Let's go. I'm in here ballin'. Hey, pop it on all of them. Death for dishonor. Play with them cones. What he say? Stay down, you come up. I ain't never a runner. Straight out the gutter, I slide with that quarter J, me and my brother. Let's go. Play with the kid on my hoe. Play with that profit, it double. It's more. I call the plays in the huddle. Shot at that slicker than bottles. Let's go. I took a ride in the road. This came with a struggle. Let's go. Put it back with the Drake on the floor.
It's a green light headshot, I say go. Can't get too calm, I'll clear my car. Bag on the chart, won't leave shells on the floor. Wait for a rap, you catch me trap. If I want shooting guns, I was selling the bow. And if it's smoke, we ain't posting no status. Police, no tray, police won't know. If in the AR, they trim me a trap. Get a hop out, shoot something, I say blow. When I my first move, get on the floor. Thrill out, blood, wax some, let's go. Seeing the rack, so you drop me the low. I can't go on, let's again the show. Found we trap, I'm kicking your dough. Body the murder, that's all I promote. Remember way before them 3 times I barely got noticed. Now waffing for these diamonds, the reason I'm choking. Cartier up on my wrist, I still ain't checked the timing on it. Gotta know that ain't my if I ain't put diamonds on it.
Let's go. That boy problem. Hey, I'm in a ballin'. Hey, pop it on all. Death for dishonor. Play with them cones. Hey, stay down, you come up. I ain't never a runner. Look, straight out the gutter, I slide with that quarter J, me and my brother. Let's go. Play with that kid on my hoe. Play with that profit, it double. It's more. I caught the plays in the huddle. Shot at that slicker than gold. Like so, I took a ride in the road. This came with a stroke. Okay, let's go. Believe. Yes, sir. Believe it. That's that problem featuring Pooh Shiesty. Out right now on all platforms. Go get that. Yeah. All right, BJ, we can get into the next one.
Look, man, we got to keep it clean, but you know how we go, man. Money move. I got one thing to tell him, man.
What you tell him?
You better hide your girl, because I hit her, man. Let's do it, man. Come on, drop that. Let's go.
I don't even need too many ad-libs on it.
Believe. You know this, rock with this. You know it's hitting for real. We in fight.
Better watch out.
Everything
I'm going to hit her too. All my plays hit everything I
And I'm hitting it. Let's go. Hit it. Hit it. Got me. Hit it. Plays. Hit it. Hit it. Hit it. Hit it. Hit it. Diamond. Hit. Play. Hit. Whip. Hit. Chain. Hit. Chain. Let's go. What he say? Better watch it. I hit him. Yeah. Better watch it. I hit him. Better watch it. I hit him. Hey. Hit. Diamond. Hit. Chain. Hit. Let's go. Better watch it. I hit him.
Hey, my diamond ain't hitting. You try me, we hitting that beam on. Switching a legend, I'm living. I get it, I spend it. Yo, yeah, we flip it. I stay on my pivot. You won't catch me slipping like this. In front of me, they don't want war with me. 2 to 3 hit up everything in front of me. That'll be the day. Try gunning me. Still pay with them. They blow the green. I with that Draco. Walking in places you can't go. I only book on them bad. Hit it and pass it to Mundo. I need the cash pronto. I don't throw in the sessions like Romo. Ride with the 9 like a Rondo. Jug in the morning, Alonzo. Believe. Try to take my chain, I'm hitting. Airplay, get I'm hitting. Little baby, throw that, I'm hitting. All the jewelry on me know that it hit. 12 get behind me, I hit it. And with me, ready to hit. Mondo on the base, it hit, you know that. Hit, diamond, hit, plays, hit.
Go, let's go, let's go. Hit, diamond, play, hit, will, hit, chain, okay. Oh God, better watch it, I hit him. Better watch it, I hit him. Better watch it, I hit him. Yeah. Hit, diamond, hit, chain, hit. Let's go. Hey, better watch it, I hit him. Yeah. Hey, better get your fire night. Hit my shot first time I strike.
Put a ring on the money, I ain't think about why.
Let's be street. Left the house with 100K. Honestly, that's a light day. Walk hard hit. I ain't got a car for a cold been high. I'm just sitting for the taste.
Till the talk for the K. You a certified right, taking risks for this money, and I pray I make it back. Stand up, got no lie, getting away with that money. On life you can die. Come on, man, on my hoodie, but the devil on my back.
My little brother Drake's in the scat.
Get out, walk him down, know he on that. Cash him out as soon as he take her to where turn up. I hit it, she love it, I'm lust stunned.
They calling me daddy, no
trust fund. I take her double D, I bust on. To the streets, I be preaching, I'm real run.
Ice hit, Tyson. Water around me, island.
Running up money to it, ain't nothing. Go up there with all the grace, icon.
Label me. Hit, diamond, hit, plays, hit. Let's go. Hit, diamond, play, will, chain. Oh God, let's go. What you tell him? Better watch it, I hit him. Hey, better watch it, I hit him. Hey, better watch it, I hit him. Yeah. Hit, diamond, chain, okay, better watch it, I hit him. Free food, free
All the diamonds
food,
on me, they hit.
free food, bill, bitch. Yeah, in the mail.
No, I got
plenty. Hey, send me. Caught a big
bad and it sound like a hit.
Yeah, listen.
We wanna start beef,
I'm
I'ma
free, let's
finish.
go.
On my baby,
Boom, I tell you, on the business.
I put him on the ceiling, and it ain't going for a visit.
I'ma kill him, now he dead. Why I keep a bullet in the head? I ain't taking back what I said.
Pillow talking, they gon' lay that bed. You can't get away from the mail.
Okay.
Whoa, double cup, I can't get away from the meds.
Hey, look, Zot too loud, I can't hear a word that you said. Hey,
Don't wanna hear it in the word, I heard it to the fed.
let's go what? Hey,
If we catch him, we gon' hit that with the leg.
Hit,
diamond, plays,
well, hit, diamond, play, will, chain. Oh God, let's go. What he say?
better watch it.
Hit up, better watch it, I hit him. Better watch it, I hit him. Hey,
Diamond, chain,
okay, better watch it, I hit him. Hey, believe it, man. Straight up, man. It's up. Miami is lit. Forever is love for me. Money move. Let's get it. Believe. Shout out Miami. We love y'all. Straight.
Yeah. Money move. Make some more noise.
All right, there you have it. We are back. Luke Thomas, Brian Campbell, Brendan Schaub. This is the Mayweather versus Paul weigh-ins. Now, where we left off last time, Brendan, you are a friend of Logan Paul. You know this man well. Surely you counseled him. Logan, you've been successful on YouTube. This is maybe a bridge too far, but he didn't want to hear that. Why?
This is prize fighting. You know, it's prize fighting, and I think for Floyd and Logan, you know, these two titans are coming together for this, and they're both going to make a ton of money. And, you know, at the end of the day, when you're talking about prize fighting, it's high stakes. You want to make the most money possible, fight the easiest opponent possible. Floyd's doing that. For Logan, it's a no, you know, if he loses, who cares? He's a YouTuber fighting the best of all time, so neither guy has much to lose here. It's a win-win for both of them.
Well, Floyd's got a little bit to
bragging
lose.
rights might be apropos. As Floyd told us himself, this isn't a real fight technically. It's an 8-round exhibition. It's not going to count negatively on that perfect unbeaten record, win or lose, that he's worked so hard to sustain. But I do get the bragging rights element of it. They're both big stars that are, you know, really proud of what they've built. Floyd has always made it about the money because he wants to show that he can dominate in the ring and dominate with the money. I want to talk about somebody looking the part or not, okay? This is Miami. You've compared Luke and I, Chop, to Golf Network hosts.
Yeah.
I might be a dealer at the Hard Rock Casino by the end of the night, but you look like Miami.
Yes.
Has Logan Paul at all looked like a fighter to you in the build, either with his words or his actions? We know we've talked about his confidence. He's okay with the stage, but has he looked as a fighter at all?
God, that's a great question.
As a promoter, a self-promoter, he absolutely looks the
Best
part.
in the business.
Yeah.
Definitely looks the part. As far as a straight fighter from a trained eye, which everybody is here, even when you watch the countdowns and hitting the mitts and sparring, the answer would be no, and I hate to say the answer would be no, right? The answer is no.
I think you can say that. We can be realistic about it. He's trying to box Floyd Mayweather. This idea, we had his coach, Milton LaCroix, on at the Versace Mansion. He was like, we're going to outbox Floyd. Okay.
Did you light him up?
Listen.
Did you light him up?
No, we were there to
Canelo
have,
tried that.
We were
Conor tried that.
Yeah, we were there to have fun. But my point is, why can't a moral victory be something? If you catch Floyd with one clean shot,
Well,
you've won. You last 6 rounds. Dude, that's a victory.
I want to talk about that because I think it's already a huge victory just that Logan Paul has gotten here. Yes, he's got the ridiculous following. What is it, 29 million combined YouTube followers alone, not mentioning everything else. But for him to get a fight with Floyd Mayweather still close to his active career is absurd. Now, is that a moral victory and a financial victory, and we sit with that there? No, he's coming for it all. I'm not trying to talk you into his abilities and the chances he has to pull an upset. But I think he is playing with house money just being here alone. How do you maximize that?
It's
to
a
me,
win-win.
You got to go for broke. You have to create chaos in the opening second.
Let me posit a scenario because he comes into this fight 0-1. Granted, this is an exhibition. It's not in that way. But still, he wouldn't technically be 0-2 if he lost, but in the eyes of the public, the entertaining public, he would be 0-2.
That's all that matters, Luke. You know, I don't mean to cut you off, but when we talk about exhibition fights, and you said it, you know, for Floyd, his record's not on the line. It is, though. It is. If Floyd were to lose tomorrow night, which is a big if, but let's say Floyd lost, we all know he lost. He got caught with a shot and lost that fight. That will be a loss. Whether the commission says it or whatever, the public knows.
Yeah.
And that viral clip of him getting knocked out will live on forever.
Right.
Vice versa. If Logan Paul gets knocked out, that's going to be a viral clip forever.
And we should make a point here to note that the rules for this bout, again, it is an exhibition, they are unusual even by exhibition standards. Here's what I mean. It'll be 8 rounds, 3 minutes. That's somewhat curtailed. The part that's interesting is there's no judges. There will be no announced winner. But Florida, being Florida, God bless them, they are allowing knockouts. In other exhibitions you've seen this year, they did not do that. So the gloves are on, but metaphorically speaking, BC, they're a little bit off.
Not only that, they were originally 12 ounces to start. Floyd got that negotiated down by challenging Logan down to 10 ounces. Floyd was even trying to go further. He's saying, how about we go to 8 ounces? That's what I boxed with as a welterweight. So
I would have loved that.
Those rules aside, why would you?
Hand speed or?
Hand speed, the increase of a knockout, because again, there's a part of me as a purist, if this thing goes longer than 4 rounds and Floyd doesn't absolutely flawlessly dominate, it's tough. As a purist, it's tough, man. It's a huge black eye on boxing. I got to be honest.
Do you think so? Is boxing, you think in your mind boxing is sort of on the line here?
I do, and I also don't think this fight would happen if boxing wasn't such a... it's not like UFC, right? UFC, we get the fights we want to see for the most part. In boxing, we don't. And that's why this rears its head, and these guys come out and do this stuff.
And also, Floyd's retired. He's not taking fights away from other top contenders looking to advance.
True.
This is a little bit to the side.
But look, we can't overlook what we just established. The reputation is on the line for Floyd. But the idea that he's fighting for boxing is interesting. And I talked to Floyd's right-hand man, Leonard Ellerby, Luke and I did as well, where Leonard said, I've never seen Floyd received as the babyface, if we're using pro wrestling terms, received as the hero. He's either been the villain naturally,
he's the heel.
He's purposely been the heel to make a lot of money. Is he really fighting for boxing though? Like, Luke, is that still a thing? I mean, as traditional boxing fans, the one that say they're not buying this, but you know they will.
I think,
are they cheering for him to...
Here's where I'm at on this. I wonder how you gentlemen feel. You can't overstate the case. You know what? Let's pause. We'll come back. We'll answer that. Let's go back to the live stage for more entertainment.
Ooh.
DJ Khaled, we the best.
If you ready for trick, gotta put your hands up in the sky one time.
The runners, I represent the ghetto across the world, and you represent the hood. Two hands in the sky.
I'm so, I wear my pants below my waist and I never dance when I'm in this place, cause you and your man was planning to hate. We from the hood. And I got these goals up in my mouth. If you get closer to your house, then you know what I'm talking about. We out the hood.
And if you feel
put them up, put them up, put them up. Put them up, put them up, put them up, put them up, put them up. If you not from here, you can walk it out. If you not hood, then you don't know what I'm talking about. Everybody wanna motherfucking know why I dress so fly, sit so high, bitch. I do it for the hood. Bitch ass niggas, I do it cause I could. Having stars in my jeans, please. 4X in a white tee. I live a life like a G, that's why these bitch ass niggas wanna fight me. But I ain't gon' play with them. I'd rather let the AK hit them. Tough niggas get fucked up and put on ice for the rest of their life. I'm straight out the hood, bruh. See, that's who I do it for. And my low class ghetto ass just renewed my ghetto pants. Yeah, I wear my pants and on my waist and I never dance when I'm in this place. Cause you and your man was planning to hate. I'm so hood.
And I got these goals up in my mouth.
If you get closer to my house, then you know what I'm talking about. I'm out the hood. Put them up, put them up, put them up, put them up, put them up. Put them up, put them up, put them up, put them up. I'm so hood.
If you not from here, you can
walk it out.
And you not hood if you don't know what I'm talking about.
I'm so motherfucking hood. What a sound man there. Well, I can't. Who controlling the mics? Where you at? Make sure you can hear me, man. I bet I got everything better than Floyd too. Fuck that. And I'm praying Ocho don't get knocked out like Nate. Come on, let's play the Dade County theme song right quick. Hey, listen, let me hear you say Trick Daddy. Say Trick Daddy. Say Trick Daddy. Say Trick Daddy. Say we finna get this bitch out the chain. We finna get this bitch out the chain. Anybody wanna motherfucking die? Come see me, T-double-D, nigga. That's right, that's motherfucking me, nigga. And goddamn it, if I said it, I motherfucking fit it. If it was fully, I motherfucking spit it. Fuck whoever I offended. Hold on, wait 1 motherfucking minute. Huh? What we doing? Still riding them big wheels.
Still fly, still riding.
Get big checks. Still leaning to the bag. Hey, you can bet that. Yo, hey, you can bet that. I ride, I shine, nigga. Hey, you can bet that. I smoke, I drink, go low. Hey, you can bet that. 22, 24's how we roll. I'm a dumb rider for sure. Every day, me and my dogs, we wild. 7 Trey, 7-5, don't ride. And we ain't tripping on nothing, just vibing. Big 9 with me, cause a fuck nigga try me. They already know. I let it go. Kill his ass and make sure that it's gonna roll. But how the hell a OB gon' try me? Well, I'm OG holding off DVC. Middle fingers in the air, tellin' fuck y'all. Trying to hate on my dog, hell fuck no. Why you hating on a nigga like that? Why you trying to stab a nigga in his bag? I know some niggas don't like this, and them niggas is the reason I'm like this. Fuck nigga that made me mad. I'm about to snap and put this K on his ass. Sitting high, still riding them big whip. Still fly, still grinding, getting big checks. Still thugging, still leaning to the bag. And you can bet that, and you can bet that. I ride, I shine, nigga, you know. I smoke, hot drink, go loco. 22s, 24s, how we roll. I'm a dog rider for sure. Y'all acting bougie as fuck in this motherfucker. Y'all acting, but they should have gave us some liquor, cause you know people act different on that motherfucking liquor. Let's go, Kermit. Let's go. Huh? Hey, Dade County, put your motherfucking hands up. If you from Dade County, put your motherfucking hands up and let's get live in this bitch. Let's go. If you want it, you can get it. Let me know. Let me know. Let's go. If you want it, you can get it. Let me know. Let me know. I'm about to break this thing up. Let's go. Come get some. Where I'm from with your big gun. And everybody knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. And I want answers now. Who, what, when, where, and why. A lot of dudes like to act the fool and I'll get online, but that ain't my style. Know who you gon' get? And what he gon' do? Run up on me if he want to. I dare impressing his homie. I get that up in front of his mama. I mop up the floor with him. I kick in the door and let the fofo hit him. I got dudes that'll go get him. That's for him, his crew, and the food that roll with him. If you want it, you can get it. Let me know. I'm about to break this thing up. Let's go. If you want it, you can get it. Let me know. Let me know. I'm about to break this thing up. Let's go. The AK go chop, 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 chop. They say don't give a fuck how many records you sold or nothing. You got to get off stage in 5 or 10 minutes. But I like to thank everybody that always supported Trick Daddy, supported down south music. I remember about 20 years ago, they ain't want to play none of our shit. We used to go all over the world. You never heard Miami music. All they wanted was the girls and the cocaine. That's all they wanted. I had to make them respect us, so I dropped this record right here. Huh? You don't know now, nigga. That'll represent like me. Who'll say some shit like me? One who'll lay the dick like me. Yeah, you don't know now, nigga. Who'll do the shit that I do? Run through your whole little crew. Pay for it if I got to. You don't know now, nigga. Who'll run off in your eyes? Put a gun off in your mind. Blow your motherfucking brains out. Cause you don't know now, nigga. Who'll fall off in the club? Free drinks for the show some love. And play the ball for the thugs. But you don't know now, nigga. Who know more niggas than me? Who do more killers than me? And way more dope dealers than me, bitch. You don't know now, nigga. No. Bitch, you don't know now, nigga. No. You don't know now, nigga. That dress fresher than me. And you don't know now, nigga. That way more polo shit than me, bitch. You don't know now, nigga. Who do more freaky stuff? And he put you in the eggs up. Then I float all in your butt. I don't know now, ho. Who like the dick like you? Who'll bite the dick like you? Hold a dyke and bitch like you. I don't like a bitch like you. I fight a bitch like you. Whole type of bitch like you. Ain't no telling what you want to do, bitch. You don't know now, nigga. No. You don't know now, nigga. No. You don't know now, nigga. Where my ladies at? My ladies, y'all go see this one.
You don't know now, ho. Done been to places I've been.
Yo, I'm out of here. I love y'all, man.
Yeah, that's like that. Hit him in the chest with it. One time again in the head. But buddy roll, y'all. Check it out.
I don't know.
There you have it, Trick Daddy, Miami legend, but we have other business to attend to at the moment, which of course will be the impending Mayweather versus Paul weigh-ins. Hello everyone, Luke Thomas, Brian Campbell, Brendan Schaub, and at the end of the table, or I should say the row, one of the most distinguished combat athletes of our generation herself. She is currently the Bellator Women's Featherweight Champion. It's Chris Cyborg. Chris, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. How's it gonna be great here?
Yeah, right?
It's nice to have you. What do you think of this entire event?
I love it. I think it's great for sport. I think a lot of people, Logan fans, come here to watch the fights, come to boxing world, and I'm really happy.
Now you don't. How long do you think this fight's gonna go?
I think Mayweather gonna play a little bit, finish the time he wanna finish.
You're right.
But I think so.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
Agree.
Chris, you've been the champion in so many different organizations, different eras of this sport. You've seen it all. Obviously, this is a different type of boxing. How interested would you be in this kind of crossover event, whether it be against a boxer, against a celebrity? Does that interest you at this point in your career?
No, I've been playing, asking if Jake Paul have a sister or ex or girlfriend.
Yeah, right?
You know.
But you've done the crossover thing. You fought Urena Bars in kickboxing. You've done the real thing.
Yes,
no exhibition before.
Yes, you know, and Urena Bars was one of the best in kickboxing.
Monster.
A very tough fight.
That was a tough fight.
And I didn't know either.
Yeah.
You know, I go over there and then fought, and I don't have a girl to me fight. She's 3 years of fighting, and that's after fight. I love challenge, and this is the good thing.
What about like a Clarissa Shields in a super fight? I knew you guys sparred together, trained together. Have you guys seen that footage?
I know
Clarissa Shields.
You and Clarissa Shields are friends, right?
Yeah, we are. Yeah. But if you pay good.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a sport. It's a sport. You know, I don't hate my opponents. It's a sport, of course. I would like to fight her, but if it happens, it would be good for both. You know, why not?
Yep.
Now, your contract, it does allow you to box, as I understand?
Yes, if I talk to Scott Coker and then they let me, yes.
But you're right now, you just had a big win. You defend your title against Leslie Smith.
Yes.
It might be Alpha Cat Zingano next. Still, down the road, being here and seeing this and thinking about your future, would you be interested in something like this if the opportunity was right?
You know, for sure. I think the first thing why I signed with Bellator MMA is because I have the opportunity to do another things, especially a boxing fight. I love challenge, and for sure I would like to do one boxing fight and see what's the next for the future for me.
Chris, you're an absolute legend in your game. Floyd Mayweather is the best of this era, among the best of all time.
Yes.
What do you see in him as an athlete that you can learn from, that you admire and look up to?
You know, he's smart and he's very calm when he's fighting. If you see me in my next fight, I try a little bit. You know, within 5 rounds doing it, I work with this. I work a lot of patience in my fights. I have a lot of some mistakes in my career because I use so much emotion, but you have to be cold and, you know, see the opportunity when I finish the fight. This last fight, I did this. I work every moment. I think every moment in the fight, and then listen everything, single thing in the corner. I work this for more patience in the fight, and then finish the time is supposed the moment right.
So when Mayweather fought McGregor, you had no doubt Mayweather was going to win, right?
No, for sure, yes.
Yeah, the level's just too high.
Yes, it's different. It's different, you know. You like a white belt, a black belt. It's different.
But still, okay, we all think Floyd's going to win. He'll win probably however he wants. Logan is a big guy, about 190 pounds long. If you were Logan and you had to fight Floyd, what would you do?
Great question.
You know, I think you have to survive, do his best. And I know if you touch it, Mayweather is going to be hard because it's quite hard. But you know, Mayweather is fast. He's going to have to try use his power.
What about a little tie clinch? Just let it go, right?
Maybe take down.
Get a little dirty. Yeah, a little takedown in there. Yeah.
Hey, in a sport where not everybody has the greatest ink and tattoo game, Brendan, he's lit up. He knows what he's doing here. The champ over here, she's got some
great work. How long did it take to get all that?
A little while. I started with 19.
Yeah.
My mom not happy about, but I finished already. I know it's too much pain. I don't want to handle it no more.
I think my favorite tattoo is the forearm one.
Yes, the name.
That's the legendary one, right?
Yeah, some people look at me, I think it's side, but they look at my arm, I cannot hide anymore.
They can identify you right away. All right, so you just fought, what, last month, I think?
Two weeks ago.
2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Okay, so when do you think you might get back out there? It might be Zingano. We don't know yet. In a perfect world, when does Cyborg fight again?
No, I ask Scott Coker anytime. I'm good. I'm no injury. I'm training. Anytime in 2 months, I'm ready.
2 months?
Yes.
Wow. Do you have any plans to maybe... It's going to be 145 no matter what from here on out?
Yes, 145, yes.
You won't even contemplate any weight? What about 155? Would you do 155?
I would like to fight 155. 55, and I have to lose a little bit of weight, but it's going to be perfect too.
All right, before we let you go, you got to give us some kind of a prediction, Chris. Mayweather, Paul, what round does it end in?
Let's get a 7.
Wow.
You think it goes that long?
Maybe.
Okay.
It's up to Floyd.
I want to
It's
sell
up to
the fight.
Floyd.
You have to sell the fight.
Yes.
You know, I don't know, 7 because I like number 7. It's number perfection of God, 7.
7. Okay. Well,
Let's
there you
go.
have it. Well, congratulations on all your success.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see you again. Chris Cyborg, the Bellator Women's Featherweight Champion of the world. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
Great stuff.
Okay, someone has to... Yes, there we go. Ashley, taking her sweet time. You know, that's fun here.
A group of celebrities waiting to chat with us.
Let's reset here for just a second if we can. Brendan Shaw, Brian Campbell, Luke Thomas. All right, Brendan, we had stopped previously before the Trick Daddy performance to ask a question about, is boxing sort of on the line reputationally? Here was the one point that I wanted to make. When these MMA fighters lose, all of us in MMA say, well, it may or may not kind of matter. It's, well, these guys they're not fighting MMA. They're moving into something else. So how representative can it be? That's at least the argument. But still, you get enough of those L's, it adds up. Floyd is just one person, but he's Floyd Mayweather. He's a boxing institution.
Yes.
I kind of do think there's a little bit on the line, as individual as it might be for Floyd.
100%. You know, even if you go back to Jake Paul and Ben Askren, as a former UFC fighter, as much as I like the Paul brothers and Jake, I wanted Ben to win. And I talked to Ben like, you're representing MMA, you're representing UFC. Do you feel that pressure? He's like, yeah, I feel like even my haters are like, man, I hope you beat Jake Paul. Like, the MMA community rally around their guy as much, even if they hate him. And when he was competing in UFC, and you know, he talked all that trash, and he was the heel most of the fights, and you know, obviously people are happy to see the Masvidal knockout. The community still rallied around him because he was our guy.
Right.
Floyd is boxing's guy, man. He's the face of boxing. I think it's crazy that you don't, not that, I'm not saying you guys, but for society to not think the pressure's on Floyd here.
I think, yeah.
To represent boxing as a whole.
Floyd has worked so hard to be undefeated, but so has Father Time. And someday it's going to catch him. I'm not trying to oversell this for Sunday night, but someday
I'm not either, but like when I had Jake Paul on Food Truck Diaries, you know, he goes, you know, as fighters, sometimes you have a bad night. So we got to hope Floyd has a bad night, Logan has a real good night, and Floyd's missed a step. I went, whoa, Bubba, you got to hope Floyd's missed 10 steps.
Right.
One step's
not enough. You got to hope he
drives
to the wrong arena.
You got to hope he shows up with binoculars.
Well, let's continue this conversation, but joining us now on stage is another luminary from the Bellator family. He will be fighting. We don't know the date just yet, but we know the opponent and we know the stakes. It will be for the Bellator featherweight title, the winner of the Grand Prix. This gentleman is one half of the finals.
Too,
yeah,
okay?
$1 million smackers. It's AJ McKee. AJ, welcome. How are you?
Thanks for having me.
And I want to put this out there. I picked him to win it from the jump. I want that on record. Yeah, from the jump.
All right, fair enough.
Stump the Shab over here.
What's up, Doug? You remember that guy?
AJ, you may be the best dressed man in the building right now.
You look good, man.
Thank you, man. I learned from you guys.
Let me see the watch. Yeah, that's a nice watch.
Wait for the next one. Shout out the Newport Watch Club, man.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
All right.
AJ, I want to start there with the Pitbull fight because there's so, I mean, it's so big that I've heard longtime guys in the industry say this might be the biggest fight in Bellator history. If you identify with that, sell me on why.
Why? I mean, just look at Pitbull's accolades alone. 145, 155-pound champ. Just the name Pitbull alone, it's been ringing in Bellator for so long. He's been the champ since I first signed to Bellator, so 17 fights he's held that world title. Once again, you got the Floyd Mayweather of MMA standing in front of him. I've called his name since I signed, so I'm looking forward to going in there and just putting my first mark on my legacy and continuing my father's.
Papa, he called himself the Floyd Mayweather of MMA. That's big ones they call that where I come from.
Big huevos.
Yeah.
Big huevos. Do you see any holes in Pitbull's game? It's tough, right? He's a pretty dominant fighter.
He's a dominant fighter, but styles make fights, and you know that.
Yeah.
For me, my style is just so superior to him. The reach, he has to get past the reach. On top of, once he gets past the reach, he has to deal with the elbows, the knees. If he takes me down, I'm comfortable off my back. So for me, I just got to go out there and fight a smart fight, you know what I mean? Don't leave any loopholes and just expose him of his.
AJ, what do you make of this? It's almost like Floyd Mayweather is fighting a fan, you know?
It is. It's entertainment, you know what I mean? Floyd said it himself. He said, I don't fight anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? So this is a great opportunity. It's a great marketing exposure. It's surreal to me, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, man, that's what I need. I wanted to fight Floyd. I want to fight Floyd. Like, that's the exposure I need. I need to get that paycheck, you know what I mean? That just to solicit yourself as that echelon of the elite fighters. So it's going to be a big move, but I think he ruffled Floyd's feathers the wrong way this fight, taking his hat.
How long do you think it goes?
I'll tell you what is true, though.
As long as Floyd wants, right?
Exactly. As long as Floyd, I think he's going to probably soften his body up. He might just hurt him to the body and really punish him.
Agree 100%.
Because the height's going to be
an issue, yeah.
If Logan Paul asked you for one piece of advice in this fight, what would you give him?
Great question.
Don't take the fight?
Yeah. Pretty much. Just get after him. You know what I mean? Go in there like a shark smelling blood.
Right, you're not going to beat Floyd over the long haul, so just, it's 100 miles an hour. Just go.
He's got to get him out of there in the first 2 rounds.
Right.
If he doesn't, it's a wrap.
All right, we're short on time. Do you know when your finals for the Bellator Featherweight Grand Prix is going to be yet?
Where it's going to be?
When?
When? No. Hopefully it'll be in LA and I get to fight back home and bring that world title and my $1 million check.
So there's a chance it won't be at Mohegan. They could move it around.
Correct.
Wow. Okay.
Correct.
Well, you know what? We can't wait to see it. We appreciate you stopping by. Enjoy the craziness tomorrow, and we can't wait to see you fight whenever that may be.
Thanks for
having me. Thank you so much, AJ McKee.
Don't let me down.
Nah,
you're my guy.
Hey, bet on a second round finish.
You got it.
Oh, okay.
And I like to bet. So,
yes, you do. You are a degenerate. That is true. All right, we think we're just moments away from going back to the stage for just a second. Real quickly, BC, we haven't talked about it, and we'll get back to it a little bit later as well. Chad Ochocinco's on this card. Chad Johnson, the former NFL player.
Big draw.
I got to say, he's had a completely different attitude than what I thought he was going to have.
He's been humble. He says, I'm out of my element, and I want to respect that. He's going in there against Brian Maxwell, a 33-year-old who's got like a little bit of boxing experience, a little bit more BKFC experience, but this is fish out of water. He's got the guts to do it in the old
Would you want to box a guy who won at BKFC? I'm not sure that I would.
No, what kind of savage signs up for bare knuckle fighting? I fought in the UFC for a long time. I would not fight a guy who decided to do a bare knuckle boxing match, especially if I'm Chad Ochocinco.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a bad idea for him.
He's a great athlete. He looked to be in tremendous shape when we saw him yesterday when you stopped by the set. So I don't think he's physically unprepared. But there's a question like, dude, if you fought in boxing and you won at bare knuckle, you're probably a very tough, scrappy person who's had to, like, your whole life has probably been somewhat
and you know how it is. Yeah, and you know how it is, like, especially if you don't have boxing experience, like if you go to Golden Gloves and it's like a newer guy, the toughest guy always wins, always breaks the other guy. That's kind of what's going on here. I don't
like the first night in jail too.
Yeah, with the matchmaking, I don't know what Chad Ochocinco's first one. I feel like it's a bad idea.
Did you ever box when you trained?
Yeah, I was a Golden Gloves champion.
But I mean, like with the shoes on.
Oh, yeah.
3-minute rounds.
Big time. Yeah, with Devere Williamson, Touch of Sleep. Yeah, I would spar with him every Tuesday. It's just that.
What was so hard about, from an MMA perspective, doing the boxing rules? What was so hard about it?
Their angles, he would see things before it even happened, so it almost felt like I was in, I was in water. He could see everything. It's just the gap is so huge to try and make up for that.
Right.
It was almost to be honest, it was a waste of time.
Right. So that fight will be on the card. Obviously, Mayweather Paul will be the headliner. There is one, I would call it very real, very traditional boxing fight on this.
Well, two of them, but one of them is there's some heat in it.
Which, of course, will be the Jared Hurd fight,
Jared
correct?
Swift Hurd, the former unified champion, 154 pounds, moving up to 160 for what he says is just a stopover before he's got unfinished business. But the guy in front of him, Luis Cuba Arias, and, B, you've run into guys before. You maybe can look at him and say, I know I'm better than you technically, but you got some dog in you, and I think that's created a little bit of tension there.
Right. If the skill gap is close, maybe one's better, but the other one's the dog, that makes up for a lot.
Yeah, man. Big time, especially in boxing, especially at this level. All these guys are pretty freaking good, and they have so much experience. That's a good fight. Great fight.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Of course, we will get to more of those details. We have a lot of different fights to break down, but the crown jewel, Floyd Mayweather, taking on Logan Paul, 8 rounds, 3 minutes a pop. Well, I guess we're going to see what happens. We're just moments away from going to the stage, and I believe the weigh-ins are going to get started. You're going to be up there as well, right?
Yeah.
Brian Campbell's going to be there talking to them, getting them some questions.
Are they allowing Jake Paul in the building? Because there's going to be some shenanigans if they do.
I'm looking up at the ceiling.
So I know he's going to be at the fight tomorrow.
Oh, really? I heard he wasn't allowed to.
No, he got a weigh in.
Wow, good for him.
I think signing a Showtime boxing deal maybe helped.
Oh, we got him. There we go.
Right. But I don't know if he's here, because this is actually a Mayweather Promotions event, so they may have told Jake to take a hike.
I would hold your breath on that. Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what happens.
Floyd knows what's good for business. Jake's good for business. I bet they let him in.
Yeah, Jake is probably going to be. Real quickly, while we wait to go there, the Jake and Tyron Woodley fight, for folks who may not know, Logan Paul's brother, Jake Paul, is taking on Tyron Woodley, who is one of the more decorated welterweight champions in UFC history. If you don't know welterweight in MMA, it's 170 pounds. We're talking about a guy who was a Big Ten wrestling champion. He's huge, bricked up, a little bit long in the tooth. The end of his UFC run was bad. It was not great. But here he is boxing. This, to me, though, feels different than this one. Logan has an enormous hill to climb. Tyron Woodley's a very decorated champion, but he is longer in the tooth. He did lose a bunch of fights in the UFC before he got cut, or I guess released, depending how you want to look at it. But that's a winnable fight for Jake. Legitimately winnable.
Vegas thinks so.
Yeah, he's the favorite, right? Barely, but he's the favorite.
Yeah, Jake's the favorite in that fight, which I'm surprised by. And I think that, talking to Jake, I think that gives him a little credit that he's looking for people to start to realize that the kid can actually box. For him to be a favorite over Tyron Woodley is insane to me, man. It's just insane.
I don't think
he's bigger. People forget how much bigger he is, which you mentioned.
Did you see the face?
He has been studying.
He's taller. You look at Woodley's even his UFC fights. He's a short guy for the division, but he's jacked.
Yeah, he's jacked.
And he has more power than anybody Jake's ever been with, whether it's in training, inside the ring. So it's a real fight for Jake.
Look, I love the face-off because they were talking trash. There was energy. I thought somebody was going to get thrown through a glass door or something. It was wild. Do you think, though, that's the best strategy for Woodley, to come in and demean this guy and think, I'm just going to knock him out and talk trash, be an equal troll with him? Or do you think it's better to come in there and really study the angles and respect the game and realize this guy does have some boxing skills?
I know Woodley does respect Jake to a certain extent, but what worries me is Woodley goes, this is going to be the night of my career.
No, it's not.
I go, God, I don't like that attitude, Woodley, because if you underlook this guy, if you overlook him, you're going to run some problems, man.
And the other part was, that was an MMA fight, his last fight against Vicente Luque, but one of the lessons that we had talked about on Morning Combat, Brian and I host a show together, was that, okay, he was a little bit listless in the loss to Kamaru and the loss to Colby and maybe some of the other ones.
He's checked out.
And Gilbert Burns. But the loss to Vicente Luque, okay, he rocked Luque, no doubt about it.
Fight.
No one would ever say Woodley doesn't have a huge punch and isn't athletic. But he had to fight, Tyron Woodley's very intelligent. And he had to fight outside of that to get the vigor going. And so he wasn't really his calculated self. That was not the Woodley that hit the pull 2 counter on Till.
Yeah, it was desperate acts of a desperate man in a lot of ways. Who should he be, the calculated guy or the guy that goes after Jake Paul's chin right away?
I mean, you're boxing, right? So you're totally out of your element.
A little bit, but at the same time, Woodley's a wild card trained guy. He's been there, I think he said, since 2007 at wild card training on specifically boxing. And then Woodley goes, and for me, I don't have to worry about a takedown. I can just focus on landing that big overhand. He's like, dude, this is a dream come true. My biggest concern with Woodley is, how much do you want to do this? Because when I watch his fights, that Vicente Luque fight, he said he was out of pocket. Really not the Woodley we know.
Right.
But I felt like desperation, so he just let things fly there.
Yep.
You look at the Usman fight, the Kobe Covington fight. To me, that's a Woodley who does not want to be in there. And he admitted, he goes, I was just living a fast life, man. I wasn't training like I should. I was doing all this stuff. I was on the go. I wasn't eating right, not training right, not getting rest. I was just going through the motions.
Right.
So, if he goes through the motions against Jake Paul, he's going to get knocked out.
And in fairness to Woodley, to a degree, he did have the 3 losses first before the Vicente Luque fight, but he got wrestled in all of those. He got totally, yes, Burns did well with striking, but I'm just saying a lot of the way in which all those guys were able to win, the Covingtons, the Burnses, the Usman, they had to take him to the mat, they had to hold him down. Obviously, that's completely not a relevant factor here whatsoever. Still, he is 39. He'll be 39 when they fight.
For a long time.
That's a little bit old for that weight class, I feel like.
I mean, he has explosive power, and I think that's what you got to lean on. In these celebrity-ish fights, this is the equivalent of a fighter having only 3 pro bouts, what Jake Paul does.
Yep.
They're not always the most scientific. It can come down to one big punch. So Woodley is that guy where he's a live dog at the very least because of that. You have
to me, that the biggest thing in that fight is, does Woodley want to do it? Is the passion there? If it is, we got to fight our hands. If it's not, he's going to get embarrassed. But I do want to say this. I think it's fantastic that Jake, in his 4th fight, is fighting a guy in Woodley. To me, that's a real legit fight.
Yeah.
Woodley is not an easy fight, man. You hear Stephen A. Smith he needs to find a boxer, dude. It's his 4th fight.
Right.
And millions of people are buying this.
And he has no amateur experience either.
Literally 4th fight.
Right.
Literally 4th fight.
Right.
And fighting a guy in a vet and Woodley, to me, is insane.
Yeah, at that point,
you have to respect it.
Yeah, no. I think certainly of all of the exhibition stuff I've seen, Jake's move to take on Woodley is an overture towards seriousness. In fact, between he and Logan Paul, you know Logan better than Jake, right?
Correct.
For the audience's sake, what are some of the bigger differences between them, I guess from a personality standpoint?
Yeah, Jake's known as the wild child. He has like kind of this careless, reckless attitude, but he has both of them, and I think comes from their father, the blue-collar guy in Ohio. They have this crazy work ethic, whether it's, making YouTube content. They don't miss a week making that content, making it go viral. They're brilliant at that. But they've used that same work ethic and brought it to boxing. And granted, it's only been 3 years, but with their resources, they're getting the best of the best. So, I think for Jake, he's a little more calculated. He's a little more calculated in it. And to him, signing with Showtime, to me, shows that he's taking this serious.
Yeah.
I also think he realizes Woodley's a tough fight because in their contract, if Woodley beats him, it's an automatic rematch. So to me, he knows he's going into some deep water.
And, I spent some time with him in Puerto Rico in their camp, and Jake badly wants the respect as a real fighter. He wants you to give him the respect for the work he puts in. Where Logan is more like, I'm crashing your party, bro, and I'm going to make this into a meme.
Right.
And that's what he's going to try to do Sunday night.
Right. It seems to me that Jake is more trying to make himself a fixture in the sports or the combat sports world. I think Logan, I guess we'll have to see what happens on Sunday. I suspect it will go poorly for him in terms of the winning and losing scenario, but it's almost like do you foresee this being not long term? How much longer, I guess that was what I would ask, do you think Logan Paul will do this, assuming that, let's say, Sunday is not a calamity for him?
Yeah. To your point, I think Jake's in a marathon, and, he's going to have way more fights than Logan. And I think Logan's on a sprint, and this is a stop. He stopped fueling up on celebrity, getting more views, getting more famous. He's all over national news now, which before he was kind of just this YouTube guy, which is a huge audience. But, he's on mainstream outlets now. So to me, for Logan, it's a stop. I would be disappointed if Jake's next fight was Floyd Mayweather. That's not his plan.
I want to ask you, we're about to see them get on the scales. Then they're going to face off, and that's what everybody wants to see. You've been there before at the highest level with the UFC. It's intense, but if you're Logan Paul and you've already had the viral moment of the build when the brother stole the hat. It was gotcha hat. What do you do if you're Logan Paul? Do you try to get Floyd Mayweather's respect? Do you try to go crazy? Conor was rock hard with emotion and acting like a crazy man opposite Floyd. What would you do if you were him?
I think, to me, a little disappointing if there's nothing. Like if Jake doesn't come out and do something, or if Logan doesn't do something. For what they do, like they know it's going to go viral and sell the fights. And Logan wants the most money possible. If it's just a relaxed Logan, that's not really in their nature, man. There's going to be, I would assume, something. There's going to be something.
We're going to have to see what happens. And in fact, we're going to do that right now. Let's throw it to the stage to the classy Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you, and we welcome you to the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino here in Hollywood, Florida, as we present the official weigh-in for our exhibition featured attractions taking place tomorrow night at Hard Rock Stadium. And it's all brought to you by Mayweather Promotions, Fan Mio, Mav Athletics, and Showtime Pay-Per-View. Well, tomorrow night's pay-per-view event opens up with a 4 2-minute round exhibition bout. At this time, we invite our fighters onto the stage at this time. Please welcome them. First, no stranger to combat sports, a versatile MMA, boxing, and bare knuckle fighter. Please welcome to the stage, Brian Maxwell. And now his opponent, ladies and gentlemen, from Miami, making his boxing debut. Here is the multi-talented former NFL star receiver, Chad Ochocinco Johnson.
Cameras in the ceiling, Celine on my arm. We get ghosts.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring them to the scale at this time. First, the MMA and bare knuckle brawler from Roanoke, Virginia. Onto the scale, here is Brian Maxwell.